Going to take your phone calls this hour with the Bulldog, Alex Jones. Why do I call him the Bulldog? Because once he bites, he doesn't let go. That's why. Actually, when he chases a story, he goes after it until he gets it. We'll be back in a moment with Alex Jones on Coast to Coast AM. And welcome back to Coast to Coast. George Norrie with you, Alex Jones. We're going to take your calls here on Coast to Coast AM in just a second here. Alex, of all the stories you've covered over the past 5 years, which one stands out as the strangest or the biggest story you've done?
Wow. I get asked that question quite a bit on the street, and it's a great question. There are so many. Just the London Guardian last week had the headline, "How a Big U.S. Bank Laundered Billions from Mexico's Murderous Drug Gangs," and it reports that two of the biggest banks in the United States admitted to the feds, but then only had to pay a $100 million fine on $376 billion of laundered drug money in the two big banks.
What a deal, right?
Yeah, I did the math on that. That's, what is that, 0.3%. And then, of course, the banks get to loan it out at interest. So
times 10.
Times 10. So that'd be like if I went and robbed a bank and was coming out with bags of money to load a van, and the cops pulled up and they said, "Mr. Jones, hold on. We need to give you a $3,000 fine on that $1 million. That's what $100 million comes out to."
And you can keep the money, Alex.
Exactly. So exactly. If I robbed a bank, the cops catch me and they say, "Stop, Mr. Jones. You're allowed to steal that $1 million. You just got to pay a $3,000 fine, and then you can keep the money." That's the same math of a $100 million fine on $376 billion, and the two big banks, Wells Fargo and its parent company, did not, or Wachovia and its parent company, Wells Fargo, did not even get in any trouble except for having to pay the fine. And I think the biggest story overall is the fact that so many people are waking up. But then there's a dichotomy or a paradox for the people that aren't waking up. They're just getting deeper in denial. Bloomberg reported, I think, one of the most shocking stories last year, that in the same year they got rid of Glass-Steagall, 1999, to allow the big banks to do this, major insurance companies, and they name them, met with Veterans Affairs and said, "Look, we've got World War II vets through Gulf War vets, and you were in the military, they say to you, hey, take a sign here, take part of your paycheck out, and put it in a death benefit and insurance policy for your widow or widower." And the big bank signed a secret deal that didn't become public until 2010 to steal all the death benefits of troops when they die in combat or when they die of natural causes later, and they're not paying the people their insurance money, their life insurance money. And when the big bank-owned insurance companies got caught doing this, they said, "Look, it's completely legal. We signed the secret deal with the federal government." So I think the overall message is the government, as Jesse Ventura said, has turned evil. That doesn't mean the guy delivering mail to your house or the state employee or the federal employee or the FBI agent is necessarily a bad person. If it's the IRS, that's another subject, or the ATF. But the overall driving force, just like in Nazi Germany, many Germans were naive. They were slowly seduced into going along with corruption. Same thing with the Soviets, or they were intimidated and went along with it. Nations in history always go bad. Empires always go bad. The average life expectancy of a nation is less than 100 years. The Roman Empire only lasted about 200 years in its first incarnation, and then later declined. No nation has really ever lasted more than about 250 years, and the United States is 235 years old. Corruption just gets into place. It recruits more corrupt people under it. They bring all these armies of miscreants in, and then you get a corrupt culture like Mexico or North Korea. There's a lot of different variants and flavors of it, but there's no doubt that if you live long enough, you're going to get cancer or have a heart attack. Well, it's the same thing. If your country is around long enough, it's going to get tyranny. And we can still go into the doctor. It's called the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and get this cancer removed. But it's metastasizing right now. No one can deny it. And if we don't gut up and get out of denial and admit that our country has a globalist cancer growing in its breast, this nation will go the way of so many other banana republics, and that's why this show is so important, reaching 16 million people.
Alex, what's new with the websites? Then we'll take calls.
Oh, I mean, we're just constantly covering the latest developments. Obviously, if you go back 6 months ago, it was my employee, Michelle, one of our customer service people at Infowars.com, up in the front office, that I was covering the TSA sticking their hands down people's pants and the radiation fryers, the microwave ovens, the body scanners. And she ran out, to me during a break and said, Alex, can I talk to you? And I said, sure. And she said, I was on vacation last week. And I said, yeah. You went skiing in Colorado with your 8-year-old daughter and your husband and your year-old daughter. And she said, yeah, I didn't want to tell you about this because it's embarrassing, but flying back to Austin from Denver, they first groped me, grabbed my crotch, went around my waistband, grabbed my buttocks, and then they tried to have a man, much less a woman would be bad, feel up my 8-year-old, and I said, no, get a woman. And then they even groped the year-old baby, and I've seen her children up at the office. This is just unbelievable. And that video got posted by Drudge, and then for a month straight, every day he carried our articles as we collated the horror stories. And we've all seen the video of him strip searching the 5-year-old and the rest of it. There's a new incredible video up on Infowars.com right now, and YouTube has been pulling it. There's nothing graphic other than the fact that it's a 6-year-old girl groped, then drug tested by TSA, and they take this tiny little girl, and I have a 6-year-old daughter, and you hear her saying, I don't want to do this, and they shove her in there, and this big TSA woman goes on and on with her hands between her legs, her hands in her pants, and she's just wearing little tight blue jeans and a little T-shirt. There's obviously nothing there, and it just goes on and on and on. And then they say, now we're going to take you over here and drug test you, and they lead her off camera. And it's all on video, and it is just unbelievable. And I just want to challenge everybody to go to Infowars.com and get this video and copy it over to your servers before they pull it down, because we're constantly having to – people are copying it all over the web. We're constantly having to update it as the TSA, the federal government, that's who we're guessing is doing it, is in there basically trying to memory hold this. And basically TSA is rolling out on highways. They're setting up checkpoints. They have high-powered radiation scanners, X-rays that they make people drive under. They have the Army involved now. We have local newscasts in Tennessee and New York showing this. They are going to basically set the precedent to put federally funded goon squads on the streets, at train stations, at bus stations. It's already begun, at highway checkpoints, forcing you through this. You're not just going to avoid this by not flying. This is to break our will. This is slave training, basically concentration camp training. And if Americans will put up with this, they'll put up with anything.
All right, Alex, thank you. Let's go to Wilmington, Delaware. Tom, get us started. East of the Rockies, you're on with Alex Jones.
Hi, George. Great show tonight.
Thank you,
Alex,
Tom.
You're my favorite journalist. I was first introduced to you about 7 years ago by George, listening to the Bohemian Grove show.
So was everybody else.
And I wanted to ask you, are you familiar with this Harold Camping of Family Radio out of Oakland, California, and his work?
He's the one that's putting up these billboards, Alex, that say Judgment Day is May 21st. I don't know if you've seen that, but we've had them on. But, yeah, go ahead, Tom.
Yeah. Alex, I've been watching this guy for about 20 years, and I don't think people realize how serious a Bible student this guy is. His work is excellent, and you're the first journalist I've ever heard talk about the corruption in the Christian church and how it's been infiltrated. And I was wondering, would you take a really in-depth look at this guy's writings
Absolutely, and I've been asked a lot of questions about this, about these billboards, about Judgment Day, and I'm sure that the person means well, and unfortunately, who knows, they may be right. You know, I had a lady.
Whoop, who'd we lose? Tom, you with us, or Alex? Well, yeah, we lost Alex. Tom, so get him back on, would you? And we'll get him right back on to answer the rest of your questions. But getting back to Mr. Camping, as we have interviewed now some of his representatives, where they talked that May 21st of this year is Judgment Day. That's it. It'll be all over for those people, and they'll be gone. And then October 21st, he says that the rest of us that stay behind, that's it for us. And it's a very strange story. We're going to continue to monitor that situation all the way and see what happens, to be sure. I'll take some more calls with you until Alex gets back on with us. Vancouver, Canada, we go. Hey, Candy, go ahead.
Hi, thanks. I appreciate both you and Alex immensely. Thank you both very, very much. I just want to say, basically, take courage, America, and see beyond the fear, that's out there. I've seen some of these guys. I've seen pictures of some of these guys that are supposed to be reaping havoc in the world. Maurice Strong and some of the quote-unquote elites. And they're a bunch of old farts, quite frankly. Like, these guys, literally, I mean, I'm 5'4.5", and I think I could take them. I don't know, when I look at this fear and when I look at the fear-mongering and the power-mongering that these guys are promoting, if we would actually look and really get to know who the enemy is, I think it might be a breath of fresh air for us.
Okay. Well, you may be right. You may be right about that, indeed. Let's go to Brian in Columbia, South Carolina. Brian, go ahead.
Hey, George. I just wanted to say I'm a economics major down here at the University of South Carolina. And, two things bug me about this. A, all of my professors, if you learn economics, it trains you to be a Republican. All of my professors are Democrats. So bottom line, that bugs me. But the second thing, there's this 18th century idea of Jeffersonianism. Mm-hmm. And if you go off of that, I can't think of the name right now, but there's this idea where you need to keep a certain amount of population level.